So we've already talked about freemium versus free trial. We I prefer for you to stick to freemium. I know Skillshare still does free trial. You're welcome to do that if you want to. I found lower churn rates. I found higher cost to acquire customers. And so I went with freemium instead. For me, it was less maintenance. I didn't have to worry about. So the thing I encountered with free trial is like I found people giving me like 7 different email addresses. So it's like that's how they could, once their trial was over, they would just now all of a sudden I would see like Robert1 at mywebsite.com. And then he has another free trial. Then it's like Robert2 at mywebsite.com. And then he has another free trial. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll just make the thing free totally. That way he doesn't have to keep making a new account, and there's just a free level instead, and then give them great stuff in the freemium level. That way they're like, I love this, I want more of this, and they upgrade. Then we've got monthly versus annual. Okay. Most of the industry is moving to annual, and they treat this is one thing I did wrong when I first tried annual, because I was like, I want monthly income. I love that, not starting at zero every month. It's like January 1st and I'm already at $30,000 or whatever. It's like that is just a great satisfaction.
Because you haven't marketed anything yet.
Yeah, you haven't had to work. It just keeps coming
You're
in.
getting yesterday's work paying off today, right?
Yes, exactly. So I love that. And so what I did wrong with annual is I was tracking it as yearly money. But what I've learned that these bigger platforms are doing is when they acquire a customer, let's say it's $99, that's the typical annual price that people are using, they're attributing that to 12 months. So even when they get an annual subscription, they're accounting as though it's MRR, so monthly recurring revenue, instead of annual recurring revenue. And they'll have a box for their annual recurring revenue because that's more so attractive to buyers, to investors. But on your day-to-day accounting, you track it as what your MRR is. And had I done that, I would have had better financing, everything would have been better. And so annual, a lot of the industry is moving to annual because it is hard to acquire a customer for
$19.99.
Yeah, it's hard to acquire a customer for $19.99. You're generally going to acquire a customer for like $25, $35. And then that means that you're not making money until month 2, maybe even 3, if it's costing more than that. And that's just hard to float that long. So annual, if you're paying $35 to acquire a customer and you go annual, maybe it's costing you $60, $75 to acquire a customer, but you're charging $99 a year. So you're slightly profitable or break even, and then you're making money on the upsells as you go along. So
if I'm being not honest, like most of the monthly or the yearly people are no longer doing less than 100 price points. They're all doing, 157. They're doing like really odd prices in my opinion, but like Masterclass $190 a year.
Gaia is $299 a year.
Yeah, Skillshare is just under $200 a year. And so like even in the sales funnels we've done for paid ads, having anything that earns you above 149, you can typically make paid ads profitable for you. And so that having an annual option just helps you afford paid ads easier.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about some metrics in here that you're going to want to know. The first one is R.
I love when you say it like that.
It's not necessarily a metric. It's more like metrics you'll track along 5 different points. And I do it a little bit differently than they do it. When you look up their R's, I put some of their R's in different places. It works better for me that way. So it removes the friction from your sales process. Oops, that's the wrong description there.
Those are all the wrong descriptions.
Oh man. Okay. So I'll just have to describe it. So I have a slide where I'm going to show you the pirate metrics and what the A's and the R's stand for. MRR, we just talked about that monthly recurring revenue versus annual recurring revenue. And then we have ARPU and CAC. It's just this world. CAC is CPA. We're all familiar with CPA. ARPU is the
Average revenue per user.
average revenue per user, but it's, we would call that EPL, earnings per lead.
Right.
So they just have different numbers. And so the reason I'm giving you these abbreviations, though, is because so that you can Google them and find out even more information, or go onto YouTube and you're going to see tons of videos about how to increase your ARPU, how to decrease your CAC. And it's like, when you know the right things to search, you're going to be able to be led to more and more information. And also so that we all can have the right language to unite under and talk about. So average revenue per user and your cost to acquire a customer. Knowing those two numbers is how you're going to know if you're profitable, how much you can spend, your ARPU. And I wrote these definitions out. I remember
Probably
writing
on a different slide.
So your ARPU is going to, your cost per acquisition is going to let you know how much you're spending and then how much you're making. And so it's going to help you to scale up. And then MAU, this one might be one that you're not.
Hey, there they are.
Okay. Yeah, I knew I wrote these things.
You just wrote it on the last version of
Man.
it.
Okay, so MAU is your monthly active users. This one is your North Star. This is the one metric that leads to all the other metrics. So as long as you're increasing your monthly active users, you're probably increasing your ARR, you're probably increasing your ARPU, you're probably decreasing your CAC. This is the one metric. And then as you get bigger, you want to also start tracking your DAU, your daily active users. And that's a different number and more important as you start crossing plus 10,000 members. Okay, so let's get into the flywheel here, kind of how this works, and so this is the Pirate metrics, and this is the way you want to build this out. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to acquire, right? This is the first A in the Pirate metrics. You're going to turn strangers that are visiting your website into registered users of your knowledge network by offering them free classes. You want to make this step super easy, low cost, get them into your world, because we all know that email is the best way to upsell them.
Not low cost, low friction.
Yes, low friction.
It's free, so it's a low cost also, but
yes. Okay, then we're going to activate them. So they come in for free, and then activation in my world, is we want to get them to buy something. And the next one is going to be the R, the revenue. But activate, get them to watch something. So it blows my mind that some people will come in for a free class and then never watch anything. What were you doing? What happened from the moment you opted in and registered? You gave me your email and you made a password, you put a profile, and then you never watched anything. I don't understand it.
But it happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
And so my toughest job is just getting you to watch one video. If I can get you to watch one video, everything else happens. And that's why this is such an important step to keep in there, is because literally, if I get you to watch one video, you're going to be like, wow, that was great. I want to buy, which you get to the first R, and then I retain, and then I refer, and so we'll get to the next one here. Revenue. All right. So now that we've gotten them to watch a video, we want to get them to buy something. All right. I don't care what they're buying. I just want to get them to buy something. So you're going to turn your active users into paying users by giving them a strong reason to upgrade from their free plan to the paid plan. This is why I do a lot of promo codes. Now, I know some people say to never discount your products. JCPenney's been doing it for years. Amazon does it. The biggest companies in the world, the only people that don't is Ferrari and Rolex. So if you're selling Ferraris and Rolexes, don't give a promo code. The other 99.9% of us, promo codes, limited time, this weekend only, Friday only, little limited time deals that get people to jump from that free plan to the paid plan.
Sometimes it's not even deals. It's just adding on a bonus if you join this month only, and that bonus is going to be in there for every other person that joins in the future. But it's whatever will get them to make the decision today and not tomorrow.
Okay, now as we got to revenue, this is the next slide that I really want you guys to to screenshot. This is the Knowledge Network funnel. We're getting them for free, acquiring the user for as cheap as possible. Then we're going to put them on the $19.99 a month plan. Now, these are the prices that I recommend everybody start at, all right? Because these are, as I've done the research in the industry, these are the most tried, proven pricings. You can price test after this, but you should start here. Then you're going to go to 99 as your annual, your paid ads. You're going to take your paid ads are going to go straight to an annual subscription, not to a $19.99. This is for your social media, your blogs, your SEO,
your main website, everybody else
yeah,
is here.
if you're doing any kind of influencer marketing, partners, anything like that, podcast interviews, all that's going to drive really to your free, and then they're going to go to $19.99. But when you're paid, you're going to really want that to go into annual right away to recoup your costs. Okay, so that's an important slide. That is the revenue model, the main revenue model, and then there is upsells. The problem where you can get stuck in this business is the upsells are very profitable. There's a lot of money in the upsells, but you put yourself on a hamster wheel of constantly doing another workshop after another workshop, after another JV deal, after another affiliate promotion, and you never give time for that monthly and annual thing to build up. Like that's the main thing. The main goal is run to 100, then 1,000, then 10,000 members. 10,000 members, you're making like 200 grand a month. You got a solid business. You can hire people to replace you. So that's your main goal, is to get 10,000 people on there, and that's going to take care of everything else. But if you're constantly selling the workshops and the certifications and that stuff, then you never actually get to your 10,000. And so then you just get stuck. It's kind of a crutch. The upsells can be a crutch. So just be careful of that. It's very easy to slip into. I've had to remind myself several times.
Like the workshops are really only there to help you have the content to buffer you through any content holes in the next quarter. Like that's how we used to do it. And people would be like, well, if it's just going to be in the members area, why do I need to buy the workshop? One, it's live. You can ask questions right then. It's not going to be live in the members area. Mm-hmm. And then two, like there's no telling when it's going to get released into the members area. It's not like in 5 days, you're going to get the whole workshop. That's not the case. So like with AdSkills, when we held the workshop, it didn't go into the members area right away. It just filled in whatever gaps we had in our content release schedule. Mm-hmm. And that's what we used the workshops to, was just a content buffer for getting us content for when we had content holes. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, we need to make money, let's add a workshop. It was like, how do we get more content quickly?
It was often easier to get an instructor to agree to be a keynote speaker of our workshop
than to create a course. Yeah.
Than it was to like, will you create a course for our platform? It's the same thing,
right?
But it's a positioning and a perceived value kind of a thing. And so they would be much more happy to be a Keystone speaker. Okay. After you make some revenue, you now need to retain that revenue. All right. And we're going to answer questions here in a minute. Retain the revenue through good customer support, fresh video content, and then a well thought out roadmap. If you do those three things, then you're going to have a low churn rate, and that low churn rate is going to help you a lot. Okay. You want to also have an easy to use interface. So you want it to be easy for them to find what they're looking for. If they can't find what they're looking for, then they're going to be like, oh, this isn't for me, and they want to cancel. You really have to try and keep your churn rate under 10%. And that's going to be hard if you start going into the higher price points, because especially if you're from our industry, the internet marketer industry, the course selling industry, I know typically we would sell these things at $49.99 a month or $99.99 a month or $149 a month. The problem is you only have people that stay for about 2 to 3 months at that price point. You have really high churn rate. If your churn rate so when I had those prices, our churn rate was 23%. At 23%, that means I have to grow by 25% every month. I have to be increasing my marketing, my acquisition by 25% just to grow by 2%, because I'm losing 23% as I'm gaining 25%. And it just becomes this treadmill where you're never actually finding any growth. And so by keeping your churn rate under 10%, And then it's if you have, let's say your churn rate 8% and you're growing at that 25%, you're actually growing at like, I don't know what, 8 minus like 17%.
I wasn't listening, sorry.
Yeah, 16, 17% is your actual growth rate. So keep your churn rate low. That's why we keep the prices low. We don't keep them low because it's just a kindness kind of thing. I mean, that is on our heart, but we're keeping the prices low so that we have low churn rates, because the lower the prices, the longer they're going to stay. And that low churn rate helps us to grow and get to those 1,000 members, 10,000 members, where we can get to the big boy days. All right, last R in this thing here is we have referral, and this is where you're going to turn your most active users into a referral army through giveaways. It's like, hey, your top 100 if you're one of our top 100 customers, we're going to give away this thing, or we'll send out to our top 100 customers, hey, we're allowing you to bring a friend this month, so they can look like a hero. But what are they doing? They're acquiring customers for us for free. We do contests, leaderboards, and then all of them have trackable referral links. There's a lot of different programs out there. There's like Referral Candy. There's a software called Q, and there's a Viral Loops tool, and there's affiliate programs, iDev, and Cake, and I don't know. There's a lot of different referral. Just look up referral software. There's an entire industry of them. Choose whichever one you like, and then use that to help your users have referral links. Okay. And so if you do this, right, you're acquiring people, you're activating them. Once you activate them, they're going to turn into revenue. And then if you have good customer support, fresh video content, well thought out roadmap, they're going to actually stick around in your membership long enough to want to refer their friends. And then that creates the flywheel, and so a flywheel, it's hard to turn on the first couple of rounds, but as it starts going, it's going to start turning more and more and more and more. And so that's the flywheel of growth in here. Let's answer some questions before we go on.
Okay. Do you offer the annual option up front, or is it on an upsell, or only behind the scenes, like after you get the monthly?
The current best practice is to try to lead people to the annual. So when you get to we're going to look at some pricing pages. You'll notice that some of the pricing pages, some of them don't even have the monthly anymore. They're just going to annual. But a lot of them, they're highlighting the annual one. It's very clear that the annual, I think Skillshares, when we look at theirs, it's like it's $19.99 a month if you want to join monthly, or it's like $8.50 a month if you take the annual. So it's a massive savings to take the annual option. And so most of the industry is doing whatever they can to get you on the annual subscription these days.
And you can go that by going to almost any SaaS website and going to their pricing page, and it just says at the top, like, annual pricing first, and you have to toggle over to monthly, and then you see like a $5 a month increase because they're doing that. So do you have an example of how the economics look, like the cost per lead, the upgrade to the conversion rate, like the funnel?
Yeah, we have some of our own. I don't know Skillshares, or they don't share that. I mean, you can find how many employees they have, their revenue, their funding rates, but you don't often find like their conversion rates and things like that. And so our page typically converted at 8% on our free trial page, or I'm sorry, our free level page. We tend to lead with our newsletter page instead, because our newsletter page converts at 26%, and that gets them, should still, I don't know, I'm not in charge of the company anymore, but when they came onto the newsletter, I gave them the free access to the plan. So it's like they got the newsletter and they got the free access, and it converted at 26%. So that was a really good rate for us. Cost to acquire a customer, I can usually get a lead in $3 to $5, $8 max, but we were earning on average $24 a lead over the course of 12 months. And so I didn't mind spending up to $8, but we tried to keep it around $3 to $5 to acquire a lead. Acquiring a customer for us, historically between $35 and $65 to acquire a customer. And again, why I try to push them to the annual.
I know you've said screenshot these slides, but yes, we are going to put the slides in the
Yeah.
members area. So like you'll get the raw files probably tomorrow morning and the slide presentation, and then it'll go to the editor and then everything will get clipped. So raw files, the raw recording and this slide presentation. So you don't technically have to screenshot if you don't want to. You can just get the slides later. What have you found for the refund policy?
I prefer to have a refund policy. It's a little weird to me that refund policies are going through kind of a new phase where people are not offering them. What they're going to find out is you lower your refund policy when you get rid of it, but then you raise your chargeback rate, and that's way worse. I promise you, chargebacks are way worse than refunds. So I happily offer a refund because I don't want chargebacks. And so yeah, just offer the refund, willingly give them. If they're asking for a refund, I promise you, you don't want to try and like change their mind. There's going to be a toxic person in your community, so just refund them. So yeah, I offer a refund rate, usually 30 days, but then also you can't. Sometimes we've had some people, and it's usually like one or two crazy people that are like, when they want a refund,
They want you to refund their lifetime
yeah,
payment.
they think I'm going to refund like the last 9 payments. That's not how it works. It's like you're in this billing cycle, and so I will refund your payment for this billing cycle, but I'm not refunding the last 6 months, 9 months, however long you've been a member.
That's actually in our terms. It's like if you're on your monthly recurring, you have up to 30 days to get your first payment refunded. But like once you're on the subscription model, you have 7 days from the time you're rebuild to process your refund. Otherwise, we'll cancel your subscription so that you're no longer billed in the future, but we don't refund after the 7 days. So like you have 30 days for your first month. If you don't like it, you get your money back, not a problem. And then after that, and that's in our terms, it's in the terms they agreed to. It's like we make sure that throughout the process, so that way, if an issue arises, we have a way to win it in the chargeback policy. One time we tested a 3-day refund policy, and that was a customer support nightmare. We launched the website, we had a 3-day refund period, and that just meant like on the day people bought, the day people requested refund. So yes. Like they did not wait to experience anything. So like if you make it too short, you don't give them the opportunity to go through things. They just don't want to risk being charged.
They feel like they're going to forget.
Right.
And so instead of accidentally forgetting, they just refund right away.
Right away, right. Or cancel right away. And then you don't even get the option of them renewing because you only gave them a 3-day trial, or you only gave them 3-day refund period.
Most of the world runs on a net 30 billing model, right? Your electric bill, your car bill, your mortgage, your Netflix, most of the world runs on a 30-day billing cycle. And so we just do 30-day billing cycle, and you have a 30-day refund policy.
Can you do a live Q&A instead of a workshop so you're not creating a new class with new content?
If you want. That is what you could do.
Normally we do live Q&As or AMAs, Ask Me Anythings, inside our members area, which builds the value of the community and gets people to stay in the community. So like that's the strategy I would use to get people into the community and loving the value of your community. So like be like, hey, so-and-so is going live this Friday. You can ask them anything you want. They're staying until all the questions stop. So if only 4 people show up, we'll just answer the questions of those 4 people. But if 400 people come, we're staying until we answer everybody's questions. And so like that leads huge value, and it gets a lot more people in there. And then it makes your community that much more valuable, and you get a bunch of video clips for social media with
that's what I was going to say. Live Q&As, the real value of a live Q&A, if you answer 8 questions, 20 questions, that means you've got 8 clips, 20 clips to be out there marketing your program with.
Yeah. Are some workshops still exclusive, like they would have to pay to get access, or is that a completely different strategy?
For us, workshops are all pay to get access.
Yeah.
Just because you're a member at $19.99 a month or whatever, that's a separate product. For that price, you get access to these things.
Right.
That doesn't give you access to the workshops. The workshops are a one-time price. It is an upsell from the main membership.
Right. And then everyone will ask, well, will the recordings ever be in the members area? And we say, yes, at some point in the future, we will eventually publish them in there, but they won't release this year. Like that's typically our answer is like, we don't have a release schedule for workshop recordings in there. How often do you drop new content? Every week may be a bit much for some niches.
You know, that seems like a problem. Skillshare is bringing in 2,000 classes a month. Okay. So, and they're across many niches, right? They're broad. They've got photography, they've got coding, they've got soccer, they've got courses on all these different topics from business to creative to lifestyle. They have courses across many different niches, and they're bringing in 2,000 classes per month. So it is possible to bring in a lot more content that you need than you think. One per week is not that hard to get up to. 20 per month is hard, 10 per month is hard, but one per week is you can get there. You're probably going to need some systems. You may need to get an assistant or a video editor. One per month is where you should start. Two per month is a good pace as well. But most of you should really try to get to one per week as quickly as you can.
And I would also say, like, it would really depend on the content you're creating and the type of knowledge network you have. But like, if YouTubers can release content multiple times per week and people are still coming back to watch them and clicking the bell to get the subscribe notifications, then it's 100% possible to have an audience that wants more content per week. So like, for example, there are people that I watch on YouTube and subscribe to, and I watch them even if I'm not doing whatever it is they share. So like, I started watching this one lady for like bulk cooking, like when you do the freezer meals, and she does like a whole month. I started that a long time ago, but like life has changed and I don't watch all of her videos, but I watch some of her videos, but I watch them every week. And I don't even cook the food she cooks. I still watch them though. So I know that sounds irrational.
I'm glad she don't, because it's like burritos with all this cheese. And
right. I can't make that food. It's just not healthy for us. So like, but I still enjoy her character, the entertainment value. I still enjoy following her journey. Like, I know it sounds irrational that somebody would watch something, even though they're not going to do anything with it, but like, people will still watch things. And so if the content you're creating on your network isn't getting people to watch them, then you don't know your target customer well enough.
Yeah.
And so your content might need to shift.
So I would just say that my whole team thought it was crazy when I said I wanted to go to like one class.
I was like, no way.
Right. Yeah. We all thought I was crazy, but it's totally possible. It's a lot easier than you think. It takes a little system. So I'm happy to work with you in the community, and we'll help you get to one class a week. It's totally possible.
It is possible. Yeah. About doing a promo code. So say if they sign up by Friday, they only need to pay $9 a month instead of $19.99 a month. Is it grandfathered in for life or just for a period of time, like the first 3 months?
So depending on what software that you use, you can put in those terms, and so you can say you're saving 50% off for the first month,
for the first year.
For the first year, you can dictate those terms. I generally just, it's like, hey, if you come in at this price point, that's your price point. You get to save that for as long as you want. What that does is they don't cancel, because they know that, like, if they leave, like, how many people have stayed on the grandfathered Verizon plan because it was truly unlimited, and they stayed on that for years and years and years. I was on that for many years until they finally, some loophole in the law, they got me off.
It was a phone upgrade. In order to get that, you had to switch here.
Yeah, I do. So it really helps your retention rate by them having that special price point.
Yeah. So SiriusXM does this, like, and they're a knowledge network. They're just audio only, right? But some of them even have video if you go on to their online platform. But like, as soon as great JVs with like every car dealership on the planet, you get like 3 months free or whatever, right? But then in those 3 months, they send you a letter that says, hey, if you subscribe now during your trial, you're going to get in at a $5 a month price, which is like 25% of what they charge. Actually, I think it's less than that, 'cause I'm pretty sure it's like $30 a month, and they're getting you for $5 a month for a year. And so you're like, well, that's like a bargain. I'll just pay that, right? And so like that's the psychological pricing you have to think of when you're coming up with yours, is like, what do I want to do? And yeah, you can change it in the future. I know that Uscreen allows you to do it for a limited time, and then it switches over. So
All right, we have caught back up with questions, get back into the pricing. And so these are the different pricing tests that I've done and why I've arrived at the price that I'm at. So we first started out at $49 per class. Everybody told me I was crazy. I was raking in customers left and right. I was like, you guys can just keep calling me crazy all you want. I am raking in the dough. It was great, but then we ran into tracking problems. So again, sometimes success can actually be the thing that crushes you. And so I was raking in the customers, but the tracking was wrong. We couldn't tell which paid ads were bringing them in, which were not. And so we ended up moving to more of a bundle model, which again was working really well and kind of solved that problem for a little while. But then we had so many bundles that it was hard to track.
Bundle did you buy?
And so then we just moved to the $5,000 everything deal. That is when we took the company to 2 million in a year. And so that was kind of the life of AdSkills 1.0. And then the 5,000 is when we went to what I call AdSkills 1.5.
But that was also a lifetime payment. That wasn't like a year. It wasn't for a limited time. It was like, you paid this price, you got everything in the future.
Yes. And then in there, we did a small test for $149 a month. And of course, everyone loved it because now $5,000 was the price to get in. And so they would do the $149 a month, but then the churn rate was just awful. I mean, people would stay for 2 months, maybe 3 months. And so we're only getting like $300, $450. And it was just, it was not working. People were just leaving too soon. They wanted the world for $149 a month. Then we started looking into this business model. We started looking at what Masterclass was doing, Skillshare. We started saying like, okay, well, here's these companies that are kind of in the same business as us. They're selling courses, knowledge, and they've got like millions of members. And it's like, our current gurus are making, they're bragging if they get to 10 million, but then we look at these guys and they're making $1 billion. It's like, okay, there's really something over here that we need to pay attention to. And so I wanted to shock the market, my list. I also I really wanted to help my customers. So like I was bringing in new ad agencies was our main customer. And so they're trying to make $5,000 a month. And here I am charging them $5,000. And so literally there were people that were saving up, it was like their life savings. We had people tell us that they had like their mom and their whole family pitched in just so that they could buy access to this course. I feel honored. I feel gracious about that, but that just didn't jive with me. It wasn't what I was really trying to create in the world. So we went to $8.99 a month, both as a shock factor to quickly get to our 1,000 customers per month, like to establish that baseline that would help us to have enough money to pay payroll and things like that. So we started at $8.99 a month, but that was definitely not sustainable. It did what it was supposed to. It was phenomenal marketing. It was great acquisition.
It got us a base to cover your base costs.
Yes. Right? And then the retention was
no lie, we made it to our 1,000 and like we still have over 800 people on that 1,000. And that was like 2.5 years ago now.
Right.
So like for 2.5 years, over 800 people have stayed with us at that price because they don't want to lose that price.
Right.
So like think about the retention strategy behind that. And so it's not going to make us millions because it's only 1,000 people at $8.99 a month. So it makes us enough, but it gives us enough funding to continue to grow. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. And then we had upsells as well.
Right.
So then we saw that the rest of the industry, the Netflixes, the Masterclasses, the Skillshares, at this point, most of them were at $14.99 to $19.99 a month. Some of them were at $12.99. And so we went to $19.99 a month, and that worked really well. The conversion rate was just about the same as it was at $8.99. And we just got paid more money at $19.99. But when we moved over that, we saw bad churn rates. When we moved up to into the 40s and the 50s and higher than that, we
even tested 29s. Like I can't tell you how many different pricing categories, like because I do the accounting side, the pro forma side, and so I'm keeping track of the churn rate of all these pricing models. It's like $8.99, $12.99, $14.99, $15.99, $19.99, $21.99. Like we had like 15 different pricing strategies, and we were just testing to see like what converted. And it was really like $8.99 in the beginning and $19.99 sticks.
Yeah, something happens when you cross over that $20 a month mark. I don't know what it is psychologically, but it just changes drastically. It changed almost nothing from $8.99 to $19.99 a month, but you go $19.99 to even just $24.99 to $21.99, and it just, I don't know what it is that changes, but it changes dramatically once you go over that price point.
And like
in my market,
conversion rate from $14.99 to $19.99, not a drastic difference. Like we're talking like 0.00s, whatever's, but like you're making $5 more.
Right.
So
yeah, so worked great at $19.99. Those are all the different prices that we've tested and why we've landed at the price that we are at now. So here's some pricing plans of other popular programs. So here's the pricing table of Netflix. And this is what a sales page looks like in this space. So you will have a home page. You'll typically have a blog. You might have a sign up page, but this is where most people go to your mywebsite.com/sign up or /pricing. And it looks like this. You're going to have a headline, description, some faces. Here's the content that you're going to get access to, maybe a couple of testimonials, and then a pricing table like this. And that's essentially what your sales page is going to look like in this business. So there we go. There's Netflix. They're the big dogs, the kings of SVOD. Then we've got Skillshare. Like I said, they really push that annual. So you see the focus. It's the first one in the table. It's got the little purple most popular. The button is green. It almost makes you look like you can't click the other one. So they're really trying to get you onto the annual. And then we've got Masterclass. Lately they're focusing, they default to the Duo with the highlight, but notice that they have the best value on top of the family plan, which it's a little weird to have a family plan for Masterclass. Not everybody wants to learn drums. Not everybody in the family is going to be a cook, but I don't know. But you see that they're charging $20 a month, $19.99 a month for their family plan. Then we've got Gaia. Gaia is, again, $12 a month, but it's a very limited plan on their $12 a month plan, where you see the general, what you're going to get access to, the most things is the $9.99. But then they've got the events plus. So like if you want the workshops as well, because they do some live streams. I think it was Hillary.
Yeah, I have some more questions.
Yeah, I think Hillary, you've been talking a lot about doing live streams instead of workshops, and Uscreen has a live stream function built right into it, so that as soon as you're done with your live stream, it's already into your members area, recorded into your categories, descriptions, everything's done. And so Events Plus would be a plan you may want to look into. And so they're paying $300 a year, but they're getting the classes and the events. And then here's Abundance Plus. So they have a $5.99 a month plan, and then they have their $14.99 a month. Their $29 a month plan is a little bit of a decoy. They don't really have that. It's once a year they offer that plan, and it comes with the ability to text the aunts and uncles. So they're experts inside the community, are called aunties and uncles. And so, you got a auntie who can teach you how to milk a cow. You got an
butter.
An uncle who can teach you how to weld. And so at any time I have a number, and they just use a computer platform. It's not their actual cell phone. And he's told me that really a lot of people don't use the number. I think
it's a huge upsell.
Yeah, it's a huge upsell. They only do that promotion once a year, and then you have text access to the experts, and you can text them every once in a while. Okay, here's the 7 upsells, and we'll get to the questions here. I'm going to finish out my slides. I think I'm almost done, and then we'll get to the questions. So upsell for profits. I have the fries here because that is the...
You want fries with that?
Right, that is the classic upsell. It's like you're coming in for the main thing, which is your weekly classes, your monthly classes, whatever it is that you're offering. And then do you also want this? Do you want annual? So annual is the first upsell that you have. Try to get as many people on annual as you can. And then, All right. So then you have merch. We built a little Shopify store with Ad Skills merch. Do I have? Nope. I don't have my Ad Skills shirt on today. It was
Love it.
it was the next one on my in my dresser, so I wasn't sure. We had Ad Skills hats, we had Ad Skills hoodies, we had Ad Skills shirts.
We even did like crazy things like Ad Skills shower curtains, which is hilarious, but people would buy them. Like that's funny.
Yeah, just because it's funny and they
Yeah.
wanted to, they do it for the gram, right?
Right.
They would have an Instagram picture, and so it was worth it for them to spend $20 on a crazy thing that we had just so that they can take a super fan picture.
And it really wasn't like we were making a huge profit. Like we used an automated third-party tool that made us not have to track inventory or anything like that. But it was about giving the community what they wanted. Like they wanted to be a part of the community. And so then we used that store to let them buy whatever swag they wanted. And then that gave us a platform to be able to order swag and give it out at certain times. So
yeah, so it's very simple little Shopify store with I think we use Printify.
yeah.
So that's a print on demand company, connects easily through a plugin with your Shopify store. So having merch helps a lot, and that's great marketing. People having pictures of them in shirts and hats and things like that, that's forever marketing. Really good stuff, and you make money on it as well. Third is your community. You can upsell to your community, or you can just give them access to the community. What we did in Ad Skills is we upsold to the community. So you can pay $19.99 a month for the, and now I think it's a downsell. So if you go to the website, by default, you're going to see like a $40-ish a month price. And I'm not sure exactly how it works, but there should be a link to the $19.99 a month plan, which is just the videos, but we go
Not the community. Yeah.
right. We go straight to the community on Ad Skills. We just found most of our customers want that.
And in a business market, paying $50 a month isn't really that hard to justify.
Yeah. All right. So community, then the workshops like we told you about, and I'm happy to answer any questions about workshops that you want help you. There's nothing else you have to buy. I will some point sell a class about how to do workshops, because we've been very successful with these single day workshops and helped some of our friends do single day workshops, and they've made tens of thousands of dollars off of them. So, but you don't have to pay anything extra. You can ask me questions in the community, and I'm glad to help you
Set them up.
Yeah, set them up, teach you whatever I know about that subject. Coaching, so you could offer coaching. And so most of this is like, let's say you had a photography knowledge network, and then you want to add a coaching program. So you can say, hey, for $100 an hour, or for $500 a month, you can do a call with me, and I'll teach you how to turn this photography hobby into a photography business, or I'll teach you how to get more wedding photography clients. So there's a lot of different coaching options you can do.
We're helping somebody that does it for farms. So like she created a workshop. She's going to do the workshop. Then she will have her community where she puts everything into and works on content every week. But then she'll have coaching behind that, where she goes to your farm and helps you develop what you want to develop. So like that was just the back end she personally wanted to do. That's not something Justin and I wanted to do, but she was like, no, I like going to people's farms and helping them like build their fences and stuff. And I was like, I mean, if you want to, you can put that in the back end. So it's a cool back end.
I don't want to do coaching. A lot of people do want to do coaching. It's good money. I'm too lazy for that. All right, then you've got services. This is actually a phenomenal upsell for most people, especially in any of the business niches. And so bring people in for that free $19.99. Think of that as almost like your lead gen, right? You're bringing in people, you're getting paid to generate all these leads, and then you can offer them a service. Rudy Moyer, he does this. This is how he makes tens of millions of dollars, is he sells you really cheap classes, because the real thing he's selling you is services after you buy those classes. Because the reality is most people come in for the classes, realize, man, that's a lot of work. I really wish somebody would, I like this program. I wish somebody would set this up for me. And that's where Rudy comes in. He's like, hey, we ended up actually doing that for
So
you.
now a really good example of this is that if at the end of this workshop we said, hey, if you want help building your knowledge network using Webflow and Wistia, just click here. Like we could have a service right behind it that goes and sets up everything for you so that you don't have to have the learning curve of what we're not doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
I'm not going to point him out, but there is a guy in here in the chat who would probably do that.
Knowledge.
Yeah.
But anywho, so like just know that like there's always a service you can put behind. You know, there are some people in the fishing world that would love for you to come take them fishing at a local pond near them, or lake, probably not a pond, and like show them how to fish their area well.
Yeah.
You know, and so like that's a great back end, and you get paid for traveling.
If any of y'all are in East Tennessee and you do some fish coaching, you know, I'm down, man.
He'll take coaching. He's just not dishing it. That's funny.
Yeah, I love buying coaching. I don't love to do coaching. And then you've got your certification programs. And I've seen this in many niches you wouldn't think. Jamal Miller in his Sunday Plus, they're doing certification so that people can be certified evangelist, certified life coach, you know, these different certifications. Also, people often ask me in certifications, like, how do you get licensed or anything like that? In some markets, there is a licensing body, but a certification is really, it's just a certificate of completion. It's not a license. It's not a diploma. It's not a...
You can go through the process to become accredited.
Right.
So that way your course, and we looked into this a long time ago, so that way we could partner with a college. And if somebody took our course, they were getting course credits. Like it's a process to become accredited within an industry, but it is possible. And if you want to take that journey, it's possible.
You're going to be reading a lot of contracts.
Yeah, I would suggest getting a lawyer.
Not something I enjoy doing. Most people who work with me know I'm a handshake guy. If I can't trust you at a handshake, we ain't partners. If we need long contracts, it ain't gonna happen, man. So certification, anybody can offer certification. I highly recommend that if you do kind of a unwritten honor code in the certification world, is make sure your certification is hard to pass and cost money. And that keeps the value up of certifications. We're seeing companies just giving away certifications. They make their certifications really easy to pass. What happens is then certifications become valueless. You know, it's like everybody's certified. So like certification means nothing, you know? And so if you want certification to matter in the world, make it hard to pass and make it expensive to acquire. And that kind of creates value, and it will help your customers, because your customers want the certification. Like when they wave it in somebody's face, they want it to mean something. They want it to be like, oh, wow, I really like, it means something that I'm certified by this company. So just my own personal rant.
People used to get mad at how hard ours was. So yeah, I take that as a pat on the back.
I don't think anybody's gotten 100 on ours.
I think like 2, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay. Cool. Questions. Let's get to questions.
We do have questions. All right. Would this strategy work well when selling a one-time product rather than ongoing subscription? Also, kind of a reverse strategy, creating a course to gift to a strategic partner as the front end of their audience. So like, would we create something custom for a strategic partner that would then get people into our membership?
Oh yeah, we've done that. That's the partnership model. Like we said, one of the 5 big marketing best practices, one of them was partnerships. And so when NFTs were exploding and everybody was selling an NFT and everybody was buying NFTs, no matter what they, did or anything, we partnered with somebody who was launching one. And so they bought like 1,000 seats of ad skills in advance. And then they were able to give away a seat in ad skills for anybody who bought their NFT, up to 1,000 of them. So yeah, you can do stuff like that. It works great. It's a good marketing promotional strategy.
Absolutely. Would you ever sell a knowledge network as a one-time payment, not a subscription?
I would never do that.
There's too much cost, if I'm being honest with you. Like, so you're going to have ongoing video costs, video hosting costs. You're going to have the community support costs. You're going to have to slowly grow your team over time so that you can step out of some roles. So like,
no buyer is going to want to give you anything real. Like
you're not going to get a multiple of your sale.
Right. I mean,
Right.
you'll be able to just dump it, and get out of it. You'll get some money back, but like you're not going to make money off of that.
All right. So when courses are high value and prices are like $300 to $500 for the course or more, how do you handle a $19 a month membership so that they don't get access to even to just one for that amount?
So those courses could be your upsells, but we're thinking of two different business models
Yeah, they're different
here.
business models.
You have to decide personally. I'm also talking to the person who asked if you could sell $100 pillar
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask
courses.
next.
If you want to be in the course business, it's a good business, guys. I'm not saying it's a bad business. I made millions of dollars. I did it for 18 years. If you want to be in the course business, do that. No shame.
It's valuable.
I'll help you. It's valuable. The problem came when I went to try and sell my course business. I realized I was trapped. There's no multiple when you sell a course business. The tracking is harder when you have multiple courses. And so I didn't like that model. I did it for 18 years. I found lots of problems. It got stressful for me as I grew it. And so this is the new model that I moved to. And I try to, as much as I can, stick to that monthly annual subscription, because that's the thing that's going to be the moneymaker. It's, you wake up January 1st to August 1st, whatever, and there's already 20 grand. There's already 30 grand in there.
So what you're trading really is right now money for big payout money.
Yeah.
Right. So like you might make some more right now money, but if you had 1,000, 10,000 members at $19 a month, you're getting big payout money in the future versus making a few extra $100 per person now. And so like, that's the mind shift you have to do there is, do you want right now money? And sometimes you need right now money. So like start with just your course business and then work towards shifting to big payout money in the future. One way we sort of differentiate high value courses versus like everyday courses, or I don't even want to discredit them because they're still mastery level courses, but like we have core and we have pro in ad skills. Core is still hugely valuable. Anybody can be successful for $20 a month or $40 a month. But like pro is when you want to turn it into a career. And so like we had higher level courses in the sense of we're teaching more in-depth business systems. We're teaching higher strategy level ad buying. We're teaching them how to coach their team. Like we're teaching them higher level skills that CEOs have the money to pay higher money for. And so like, that's when we had two levels, but we didn't start out with two levels. We had just core and we focused on core because core is what is going to give you big core. It's going to give you big payout money.
Right. So here's the thing. All right. This is why I do this business instead. When I built ad skills up to 2 million and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go sell this thing. People were offering me 400,000, 600,000, 1 million. I mean, I'm talking about real buyers, and I learned about the valuation of course businesses and went through all the due diligence and things like that. And it's just very, very hard to sell a course business for what is really valuable. You take that same business, right? But you do it on this business model, you sell it for 10 million easy. Okay. So if I, from $19.99 a month, if I get 10,000 members on there, and again, I know that sounds hard when you're at zero, but it's
possible.
Masterclass has 11 million members on there, so like 10,000 is not the biggest number. You get to 10,000 members, that's $200,000 a month in revenue or $2.4 million a year. The multiples you get on this business model is 5 to 10 times your yearly revenue, and so you're going to get, it's easy to take a $2 million business and sell it for $10 million under this model. Whereas you take a course business that's $2 million, you try to sell it, you're going to get $1 million. If you're lucky, you're going to get 2 million back from a $2 million business, so do what you want to do, guys, but I am personally telling you probably got to make a decision. Are you going to be a knowledge network business or are you going to be a course business? And if you try mixing and matching them, I think you're going to have trouble. You're going to struggle a little bit. You're going to have one foot in both worlds.
All right. Do you drip content or literally just creating something new every week with everything visible? I might have missed this earlier.
Yes, everything all visible. We want that. We want them to come in for free and then see all this stuff. And
more content is added every week. Yes, we don't like hold some like where you only get 50 when you start and you get a new thing every week. No, like when you start today, you get everything we've published from the last 2 years, as well as everything we're going to publish this year.
Yeah. And just the software just doesn't do drip content because that's more of a course
Right.
type of thing.
Adding VAT. VAT is something I would recommend you talk with your accountant about, whether you
Yeah.
need to add VAT or just credit VAT to your own accounting.
That's a financial advice thing.
I try to stay away from money things because when I teach you how to handle taxes, then I get into accounting and I can't do that. But if you're being charged for it, I would add it on. Just like if I get charged taxes, I have to pay tax. Like the grocery store doesn't let me get bread without tax. Well, I guess it does, but okay, diapers without tax, right? So like if the grocery store isn't giving it to me, I'm not giving it out. So if there's tax, I add tax.
Anne Marie, she's that free trial.
Yeah, I know.
It's a powerful force.
She said she wants to sign up for masterclass. But and what's even greater is you'll see twice a year they let you bring a friend. So do your free trial and you bring a friend. So they're really good at making that 1.1 in masterclass. That's how they get that 11 million.
Yeah, 11 million.
I almost said billion, but
that would be great. That's I think more
like the planet.
That's more people that's on the planet.
It's the planet and some stars.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of offering the whole business model as a service and get royalties.
That could be a great business.
Absolutely. Okay, Eric, I'm still a little bit confused. If I get this correctly, we'll be driving paid traffic to the monthly versus annual price on the front end. If yes, what's the upsell for the front end of the funnel, or is there just no upsell?
The upsell is on the page. They can either take monthly or they can take the annual. And so the upsell's right there on the page. It's not a traditional upsell like we're thinking, like you have to go through the order process and then you get to an upsell page. The upsell's right there on the page. It's like you can get just the burger, like you go to McDonald's, and you can order just the sandwich, or you can order the combo meal.
But the price they're showing you is the combo meal, and the sandwich is slightly priced. And we're doing the same thing in the SaaS world, right? We're showing them what the combo price is, and then you can downgrade to just the sandwich.
Right, exactly.
Let's see here. What is your prediction for when this SVOD/knowledge networks model gets saturated? Depends on how fast you take action. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know that how it could, I don't know how that it could. I think that is I don't really believe in market saturation. And this gets into a whole deeper conversation of like, there is market sophistication, but I don't know that there's market saturation because people love to buy. They just buy more. And so we've not seen TV, so it's like there's more and more SVOD TV options, right? It's not like there's less and less and they're consolidating. We're seeing, as Netflix came out, and then there's Hulu, then there's Disney Plus, and now there's Paramount, and there's another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. And so, and they seem to be doing well, and so I don't see a market saturation happening. I see more of a market sophistication where customers might start choosing this one or that one. Oh, that's a deeper question. I don't see market saturation happening, and that's a far, far away problem for most of you. Like the only thing you should be thinking about is first 10 classes, first 100 customers, nothing else, just go.
Andy, great question. He says, with your content pieces, do you add any quiz or something similar to the end of the content?
We're getting into that part, so maybe you might want to answer that as we get into this next section here.
Yes. How did you inform your old customer that have bought lifetime access products that you are transitioning over to the Knowledge Network? We just gave them access.
That's a really good question. And so we created a legacy version. We explained, here's the problem. It's either we're going to have to shut this down or we can add this on. And so for any of our customers, essentially we just drew a line. If you had spent over $2,500 a month, you were grandfathered into the new version of AdSkills. You got
not a month, more than $2,500 with us.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like people were paying us that much and we left it.
Yeah, if you spent over $2,500, period, then you got access to the new version of AdSkills for free. If you spent $23.49 and then we took it on a case by case basis. If you spent under that, depending how long you were a customer.
But like we had already done the customer data, and like we had a large portion of people that were over $2,500 and another large portion of people that were under like 800. Yeah. So it was like there was a gap.
And so we told the lifetime customers, you still have lifetime access, and they still do to this day. There's adskillslegacy.com, and anybody who bought that, they have access to that. It will stay there forever. But we were moving to a different model that would allow us to create more consistent, freshly updated content, because in that other model, we were creating 10-hour-long courses. It's very hard to keep a 10-hour-long course with 92 videos up to date, and so we told them, here's why we're doing this. It's going to be better for you. If you've spent over this amount, you're getting it for free. If you are one of our customers who've only spent a little bit of money, I'm sorry, you're not getting it for free.
But we made it.
But here's the good news. It's only $8.99 per month. So
Right.
It's easy for you to get access to them.
So we gave them their best deal ever.
Right.
And those were our early adopters. It's just a matter of adjusting how I think about what I'm teaching. I'm like a Mindvalley. Their courses are more robust, right?
Well, if you take a look at what Mindvalley's been doing, I would say the most recent year, they're slowly moving more and more to this model.
Yeah.
And so they were big courses, selling one course at a time, but they're now moving much more closer to the masterclass model.
Just to confirm, you would not split sales with teachers, just pay a flat fee or some other promotion.
Every time I did split sales, it became really expensive over time. It's great because it's easy to sell that deal, but the problem is it starts working, and now all of a sudden you're writing $10,000, $20,000 commission checks for things you could have bought for $3,000 to $1,000.
Yeah.
And you can buy content all day long at $1,000 an hour.
Yeah, I can't tell you. There was an interview I watched of a YouTuber, and I remember watching this and being like having a mind blown moment that she was so proud that she got paid her day rate to record like a 4-hour course. Like the company rented a house like out in LA. They all flew out there. They recorded her teaching all day long. She got paid her day rate. She was so excited to get her day rate. And then like, because the company paid for the flight, the travel, the day rate, the everything, they owned that content. She didn't have any rights to it. And like,
it was like $2,000.
But she was ecstatic.
Yeah.
But like when I did the math on that, I was like, okay, a flight to LA, an Airbnb for a day, even if you have to pay like video permit fees and stuff, like you're not spending more than two. And then we found out her day rate was like $600. Right. And so like my mind was blown. I was like, okay, we can definitely get more content off of YouTubers. Right. So like be smart about it. Like you do not have to give them forever royalties. Some people are smart enough to request that, but you don't have to start with that. Why not price it higher as annual only one time, considering it'll contain a ton of value so you can have stronger economics to compete with the course sellers who likely have better economics to ultimately acquire more customers at scale?
I've been around the course industry for 18 years. These guys don't have good economics. Most of them, they think their paycheck is their profits. They're not writing themselves a real salary. They have horrible accounting. These guys, they burn out. They have, most of them have a 3 to 5 year lifespan. They're hot for a little while and then they're gone. They either get, in trouble with the law, or they just end up disappearing to do something else. So that's not really a thing. And then, like I said, I did the research on what are the most proven, most common prices. I would start there, and then price test. If you want to go higher, go higher. I'm not telling you everybody has to stay at $99 a year. I'm telling you that is the most proven, most common price point that the industry is using, and they're multi-billion-dollar companies. So it seems to be working.
Yeah,
and they're making way more money. Way more money than the course sellers.
And they're not doing all the work themselves. So
Yeah.
like even if a course seller has a small team, the people in the higher echelon of knowledge networks, like they have hundreds of team members. So.
Course sellers are making nothing compared to what the SVOD industry is making.
Yeah. Built to Sell is a great book and podcast about getting set up for selling. Yes, absolutely. Built to Sell is fantastic. How do you decide what to give free versus what is the core or paid version?
So for me, the free is your fundamentals, your course. So if they were coming into fishing, you're going to teach them how to tie the knots. You're going to teach them
how to pick a fishing pole,
how to pick a fishing pole, the different types of reels, lures, casting, setting the hook. Your free stuff is your basics, your fundamentals. Bring them in for that, and then your paid stuff is the most recent. So it's like how John Smith does bass fishing, how Jimmy John makes his own lures, so it's specialized content about specific topics.
I would say, like, so when we say fundamentals, it's things that don't change in an industry. So like for ad buying, like you still need to do customer research. You still need to do market research. You need to know how to write good ads. Like, what does a good ad look like? There's different fundamentals that won't change over time because like literally they've been teaching them for more than 100 years. So that's what we're teaching in our free academy. Mm-hmm. It's things that people need a structured process to get the foundation of, but then once they get into it and they start dabbling in Facebook ads, TikTok ads, Twitter ads, like they're going to start getting in there and be like, well, how do I not lose my money? And then they're going to want specific conversion details on how to do the best at Facebook ads, how to be the best at TikTok ads. And so that's when we put it into the most updated content, and it pushes them naturally because they just want more help into the next step.
Yeah.
If I currently have 5 big courses, if I currently have 5 big courses, a monthly membership with live weekly cooking mini classes, and I also have live workshop every 2 months, 4 hours, complete step-by-step cooking class, does it mean I could do a bigger monthly fees to allow access to all my courses, or a bigger one-time fee to access all courses, but no access to the workshop and no access to the live weekly meeting, as they should never be included inside a one-time pricing offer?
Guys, I'm not the price king. I'm not the price sheriff. You guys are allowed to charge whatever you want. What I'm bringing to you is what the best practices are and what my own split tests have shown me. Yeah. Charge what you think you should charge what you feel is comfortable, charge what you can put bread on your family's table, do your own split testing, charge whatever you want. I'm just telling you, this is what I'm bringing this business model to you. And these are the best practices that I have researched and that I have myself tested and proven to be true. So
I would say, like, if I'm going to give you any advice on how to decide the structure of your pricing, it's like anything that's going to require you to do more work every week should be a part of that recurring fee. Anything that you can do one time, put in the free thing.